Welcome to Sunday Comics, where today we're going to be talking about television. We're going to be talking about Cobra Kai, Arcane, Superman, and Dune Prophecy. Let's talk about Cobra Kai Season 6, Act 2. I still like this show, I still like this series, but it is very cartoonish. And the characters act in cartoonish, lampoonish ways. Think about Chosen. Chosen was a incredibly powerful enemy and grounded enemy in Karate Kid 2. And now he's a buffoon. And yes, he does get his groove back. And to a character that I think he matches with very well. Both the actors match together and the characters in the broader scheme match together very well. And they can learn from each other. But the way that they make him a silly drunk and that they make him a distraction takes away from the character. And that goes again with the final episode of this act, which is there's a severe tragedy that happens. But to lead to the tragedy, they have a Royal Rumble. This is unbelievable. This is silly. And it's unnecessary. You already had the characters fighting each other. Now, you could see from the beginning that they made some mistakes in the storytelling. They didn't have the main character be the captain. They had the co-main character be the captain, which is fine if you're then going to have that character take over his training and take the spot of the two senseis who are now distracted. That would work because that keeps him in the story and that keeps him in his role as leader, but takes him out of the role as the main character and lets the other actor, which is very good on I'm going to call him Robbie Reyes. It's very good on Robbie Reyes' part as a human being. I don't remember the real actor's name, for stepping back and letting a different actor take the lead. That's really cool. That shows a lot of maturity in the actor, that he didn't fight for that spot, that he didn't, threaten to leave the show because he's no longer going to be the main lead. That's really awesome. But narratively, it has to work. And because the writers didn't commit to it, and because the writers didn't give a fully fleshed out role to now the new second lead, they ended up hurting the progression of the story, and they had to have a way for everyone to have their main fights, their main battles. Because that's the whole point of a karate show, is for the two main opposition viewpoints to fight each other physically. And so I think that was a mistake. It wasn't well thought out. And I think it does hurt the show. So for me, Cobra Kai Season 6, Act 2 is a 3 out of 5 for being too cartoonish. Doesn't mean that it was bad. It's just, it needs to have a level of severity and a level of reality within the show that I feel it has been losing ground on every season. So it does need to end. That being said, I still like all the actors. I still like the show. I'm still going to watch the finale, whatever it's going to be. If it's going to be a movie length or it's going to be another 3-parter, whatever. The finale is going to be amazing. I'm hoping. Okay, let's talk about Arcane Season 2, Act 2. Wow. So the complaint that everyone has is very true. It feels very rushed. There are character developments that happen that are natural to the story that are happening way too fast. And there's not enough lead time for the characters to establish their new role that they take on just an episode beforehand. So Caitlin gets corrupted, but you don't really see that corruption because she immediately has to have her redemption. Vi becomes a loser, but you don't get to see that because she only is a loser for a few seconds, and then immediately Jinx comes in and, needs her and needs her to be a big sister yet again. And brings her back her role and her purpose. And so you have this with all the characters where the progression is too fast. Like Vander, I would have loved to have spent a whole episode with Vander being Vander before he gets taken away. And spoilers, man, that last scene. I think every single episode this season, both Act 1 and Act 2, I have laughed, I have cried, I have been super yeah, and I have been a little bit bored at the more technical parts, but in a good way, not in a bad lull, but like in a, okay, we're going to slow it down, and we're going to ramp it right back up. And so I've gone through all my emotions every single episode, and the last episode was no different on that, as in all those elements were there. But the extremes of those feelings, wow. So when you feel acceptance, wow, it's there. When you feel love and family, it's there. And when you feel tragedy, my gosh, I cried. I legitimately cried. And from the reactions that I've seen online, everybody is breaking down. It is heartbreaking. Whoever wrote that deserves an Emmy, and I hope goes on to write movies for big studios. Because this is going to be the last season of Arcane. I know it's going to exist in some form later on, but we're not going to get this. And this is what I crave. I crave it from television. I crave it from movies. I crave it from books. And this is delivering. I am giving it a 4 out of 5, not because it's not great. It's almost perfect. But the fact that it's so compressed and it's so rushed means that I can't give it a perfect score. But this is as close to perfect as anything can be. But it's just not there. But man, is it great. If you're not watching Arcane, you need to watch it right now. You need to go back to the first season if you haven't watched it and watch it all the way through. It is amazing. Arcane Season 2, Act 2 gets a 4 out of 5 for me, but that's with an asterisk because on any other show, this would be a 5 out of 5. But comparing this season to last season was a 5 out of 5, and that's because the pacing was so perfect. The pacing here is very rushed and very compressed, and that's the only reason it's not a 5 out of 5, because the acting, the storytelling, the action, the romance, everything else is perfect. But yeah, the pacing and the compression in storytelling is hurting it just a little bit. Okay, let's talk about Superman, Lois and Superman. And I'm calling it Superman first now because this was the first episode, I think, in the entire series where Superman was Superman. He wasn't another character. He wasn't a little bit weak or a little bit wimpy. He was just Superman. And that's all I want from a Superman show, is for my Superman to be Superman, to be heroic, to be self-sacrificing, to be invincible, and to do the right thing even though he doesn't have to. That's it. That's all I want from Superman, is to be almost perfect and have his flaws be the fact that he has to compromise to protect his identity. That's what I want from a Superman story, and that's what it gave me. This is a 4 out of 5 episode, and I simply title it Becoming More Superman. So it's Superman becoming more Superman, which is sad because as they're finally getting the character correct, they're going to have to end the show, which means they're going to have to do something in the second to last episode that's going to break character, which sucks because they're finally getting the character so good. And then you'll have the ending where Superman will be whole or he'll be dead and the Sons will take over or something like that. Then let's go on to Dune Prophecy. This was boring. This was bad. If Arcane is an example of what a show is at its best, then Dune Prophecy is an example of what a show is at its worst. Dune Prophecy is not badly acted. I want to say that very clear. And the cast, there are actors on this show that I want to be successful, that I want to be movie stars, that I want to be TV stars, that I want to do super well in their careers. They're actors who I've seen in other projects that I've loved and followed them in different projects, even projects that I don't feel were very good. I thought they shined and shone through in those projects. Here, everyone is a dull rock. It is not good. It is a 2 out of 5 for me. It is slow, it is boring, but it's acted well. I don't want you to think that this is, because I know a lot of people are making the Acolyte comparisons. This is not the Acolyte. This is not a badly written story. This is not an off the wall, let's put our politics into here story. This is a real story. It's just real boring. So I'll watch the next episode, but if the next episode is just as boring, I'm going to step off Dune Prophecy. All right, that's it. Peace, like, and subscribe. Talk to you all later.